Flyweight is a wasteland of bodies in the wake of Alexandre Pantoja. At UFC 301, the main event, the flyweight champion defeated a number 10 Steve Erceg, which makes him 9-0 against the division's top 10. 10-0 if you count Matt Schnell at 11. Alexandre Pantoja had a very tough fight against Steve Erceg, just like he does against everybody. They're all tough. Steve Erceg, he's legit. He is a very good fighter and one that you want to keep an eye on. And he will probably rise in the rankings after this. But Pantoja's the one who went home with the belt in his home country of Brazil. Fantastic homecoming after going through the division and beating everyone that has meant something in that division since he's been around, except Deiveson Figueiredo. Alexandre Pantoja may be the second best flyweight of all time. Obviously, Demetrius Johnson's number one, and he has a long way to go before that. But it seemed like this was the typical Alexandre Pantoja fight. It was hard. It was tough. He came out fighting like a maniac. Heavy low kicks, throwing himself out of position and just chasing bombs. Wanted to push Steve Erceg against the fence, and it worked in the first couple rounds. But then he got tired, as Alexandre Pantoja always does. And that was the story at UFC 301 of how Steve Erceg fought his way back into that fight. Every fight, though, seems tough for Alexandre Pantoja. It's weird. Like, Brandon Moreno, all of them. I'm not even going to go through the list. Like, all of them seem tough. And he fights to, like, the level of his opponent, but he fights really good opponents, too. So it's like, okay, I can take that. But yeah, they're all tough. Steve Erceg was good. He had some really cool combination punching that wasn't, like, extended. But, like, he would throw, like, he threw a lead hook and a rear uppercut, and I was like, wow, that's cool. You don't see that often in mixed martial arts, that's for sure. Not boxing like that. Ones and twos. He really did find ways to, like, really punish Pantoja for leading with his head, and he didn't quite punish him enough. When Alexandre Pantoja got to the ground, Steve Erceg did a good job of, butterfly sweep, not accepting the position. But, Pantoja just kept coming. It was Pantoja who was bloody after this fight, sure. But, man, Steve Erceg, like, that was a very good performance from a fighter that nobody really expected to, do well. And everybody thought Pantoja was going to just run through him in this fight because he's in Brazil and this is the 10th ranked guy. But remember, Carter Garbrandt, he might have been ranked 5 after when he fought Dominick Cruz, but that's because they pushed him up the rankings. He was like number 9 when he won his last fight before the title shot against Dominick Cruz. These guys are good. 1 to 15 on down, they're good. At least in the lower weight classes, right? We're not going to talk about middleweight. We are going to talk about middleweight in a little while. Are we? Yeah, we are. Caio Borralho. But, like, Pantoja, man, just cleared 125. Like, he just run through the entire division. He sped run it too, because, like, he's cleared it, but he hasn't even fought him all after the title. So he fought and he won the title against Moreno, rematched Royval, and now he's fought Erceg. But, like, look at this. Before that, I'm gonna go all the way through since he came in and had a meaningful win over Brandon Moreno the first time. That was in 2018. And don't forget, he fought him on The Ultimate Fighter too. So, Olga Sasaki, Wilson Hayes, okay, lost to Figueiredo, beat Matt Schnell, lost to Askar Askarov, who's no longer in the UFC, right? But since then, he beat Manel Kape, Brandon Royval, Alex Perez, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, and now Steve Erceg. The guy's good. And he's beat everybody in the division. There's nobody there. Like I said, you've got Amir Albazi, who has a robbery of a win over Kai Kara-France, who Pantoja's already beat in The Ultimate Fighter, but he's already beat him. And then Muhammad Makayev, who doesn't have a good win at all, except for Alex Perez. And that was like, did he win that? So, yeah. Alexandre Pantoja has absolutely run through 125 pounds. So what's next? I mean, there's not much you can do for him, right? Like, he's beat everybody. Now, he did say he wants to take some time off, and I'm like, hey, that's a good idea. Let's take some time off. Let's recover, because he fought 3 times this year. The Moreno, Royval, and now the Steve Erceg fight. That's all this year. Or in the past year. That's not in 2024. We're early in 2024, so no. But you get what I'm saying. He's fought a lot. Give him some time off. Give him 8 months off, and then put him in a fight camp where he comes back just after a year. Or just before a year, maybe. You can let the division play off, but as the division sits now, you're looking at like Amir Albazi is probably the first one that everybody wants to go to because he's never fought. I'm cool with that. Steve Erceg is another one. With this being like, so Steve Erceg, like, he lost this by 1 round on 2 judges' scorecards. 47-46 on 2 scorecards. He could have won a majority decision, but he didn't. But you can run that back. It was kind of a short notice camp. It's the only one he hadn't fought twice. You got Amir Albazi, who I like. I think he's the one that's supposed to get it next, even though he doesn't fight, and he just pulled out of the Brandon Moreno fight he was supposed to have with a neck injury. So, you know, maybe they both have a lot of time off, but like Albazi needs another win. There's the Brandon Royval trilogy, which I'm very hesitant to give a trilogy to a guy who's down 0-2, but like with how Brandon Royval beat Brandon Moreno, it's hard to deny him, right? So you can go Royval, who's the number 1 contender, or you can make Albazi and Royval fight. Or Albazi and Alex Perez. If Alex Perez wins, he gets the rematch. Or Muhammad Makayev and Amir Albazi. Winner gets the title shot. There's plenty to do. There's plenty. But Pantoja right now, as far as it sits, has cleared 125. And it's magnificent. Like, we haven't had a guy like this since Demetrius Johnson. Think about it. We've gone through Cejudo. So Cejudo lost. We had Petr Yan. We had Aljamain Sterling. We had... No, wait. That's 135. What am I doing? No. We had Cejudo. That's where I got mixed up is with Cejudo, right? Who beat Cejudo? Nobody beat Cejudo. He vacated. And then we had the whole Davison Figueiredo versus Joe Benavidez. Then Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. Then Brandon Moreno and Pantoja. So, yeah. Like, this division's cleared, but he hasn't even fought everybody for the title. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm happy, though. I'm happy he got the win. Screw his dad, because his dad's a jerk, right? He said that when he captured the title. Look at me now. Apparently, like, his dad's not in his life and never was. He's a champion. He probably should never get his dad back in his life either, because, like, might be just for money. Yeah, so happy for Pantoja. You know, he got a good win. I don't know really what's the real next option. I gave like 3 options, but like still that's not it, you know, like there's better stuff out there for him. Let him wait, you know, maybe a move to 135. Him versus O'Malley would be, I don't know, it'd be okay. He extends with his head too much, but he's like relentless and heavy low kicks, so you know that could be an interesting fight. If O'Malley doesn't go to 135, 145. Yeah, I'm losing my mind today. You can always run Figueiredo at 135. That'd be cool. Like, have a rematch with that. That'd be super fun. But, yeah, so good win for Pantoja. I'm happy for him. Steve Erceg, he'll be back. He's a really good fighter. Like, he impressed me on this short notice nature of this fight. Because it was, like, a couple weeks, just before 300, I think they announced this fight. Because they were trying to get somebody else, and they couldn't. Alex Pereira couldn't make the fight card. But, yeah. So, good win. Speaking of Brazil, though... The King of Rio returns, Jose Aldo. If he were to retire right now, I'd be happy. Because his last fight with Merab Dvalishvili really kind of like bummed me out. Because like of what Jose Aldo was. You know, he's just this Terminator, anti-takedown guy. And, you know, they fought in Utah at altitude, and Aldo just gassed completely. You know, because 135 is not his real weight class. 145 really is. Even though he fought for a title at 135 against Petr Yan. Ooh, that's one they can run back, actually. But, yeah. Having him back, you know, because he did some boxing fights. He was trying to get the Floyd Mayweather fight at one point in time, and he just couldn't get the exhibition going. That would have been really cool, but couldn't get it going. But, yeah, so he took on Jonathan Martinez, who's a very kick-heavy opponent. And when you take the kicks away, because Jose Aldo checks kicks. That's a brilliant concept, right? Pick your leg up, let him kick it. Let him. Then you end up like Jack Shore and the fight's called off because you're bleeding from your leg. You got a gash in your shin. But no, Jose Aldo just checks kicks, and Jonathan Martinez, you know, just didn't know what to do. Who can blame him, though? Like, the two things that Jonathan Martinez goes to is the low kicks, and he occasionally goes for a takedown. Well, he went for a takedown against Jose Aldo. Guess what Aldo's good at? He was the king. He was the inventor of the whole sprawl and brawl almost. Ironclad wrestling defense, Chad Mendez. Yeah, so Aldo did his usual thing. Horrible takedown. DC was like laughing at him like, hell yeah. This is a futile attempt because even like Daniel Cormier, the NCAA wrestler, the Olympic team wrestler, Daniel Cormier didn't actually wrestle in the Olympics though. He just made the team and he got hurt, I believe it was. But even he was like, yeah, no, taking Aldo down ain't it, Chief. That's not it. But like Aldo, he punches viciously, man. He still looks good. He's young. He's like 33. Which is older at bantamweight, but like he just seems older because he's been around for forever. We've been watching him in the WEC since he was like 19 years old or something like that. It's the same thing with like Max Holloway. We feel like he's older than he actually is. A lot of body work from Jose Aldo, which I'm just mwah. So like we've seen like with the knockout with Jeremy Stephens, that lead left hook to the body, very Canelo-like, Canelo won last night, but. That, and we saw it also with Chito Vera. We talked about how he worked the body against Vera, and that really kind of the feints and the body work really kind of shut Chito Vera down. The body work here didn't shut Jonathan Martinez down, but he didn't have much to shut down. He was already being shut down, denying takedown defense and checking leg kicks. What's Martinez supposed to do, right? And it was cool to see Aldo back. A really cool thing pointed out by Open Note Grappling was the fact that Aldo kicked the thigh. And it's really, like he said, and he's right, it's really hard to advance on your opponent and get your range when I'm teeping your thigh or teeping your hip. Really hard to get it in the range there. It's probably the longest weapon. Apparently, though, this was like Jose Aldo versus Dominick Cruz originally, and that would have been a fantastic fight. I have been like dreaming of Aldo versus Cruz for forever. That's always been the fight, though, right? Since like WEC, that's been the fight. Dom never went up. Aldo didn't go down at the right time. They couldn't link up. Let's book it. I mean, Aldo had a one-fight deal with the UFC. Let's run it back. Let's get him another one-fight contract. If he wants to go box, let's let him box, and then once Cruz is healed up, let's go. Cejudo's another one. They were supposed to fight originally before Aldo got hurt for the title. If you remember, that was his first title shot after losing to Marlon Moraes. So that'd be cool to see like Henry Cejudo versus Jose Aldo. We were supposed to get it. Cejudo eventually fought Dominick Cruz and knocked him out, and that's how he won the bantamweight title. So yeah, fun fight. I enjoyed it. Just seeing Aldo back in the UFC. Blue shorts was weird. He's always a yellow short guy, so the blue shorts were very weird. But Anthony Smith. He got it done. He, pulled a Dustin Poirier and jumped the gilly. Don't be silly, jump for the gilly. He fought Vitor Petrino, heavy-hitting Brazilian who was supposed to be the next best thing at light heavyweight, and he ended up not being. So, yeah, Petrino's a very heavy hitter. You see his bicep. He's huge, man. He's giant. So, Anthony Smith, he's actually a fairly smart game planner, man. He's always been a fairly good tactician. He's not great, per se, but he makes good decisions sometimes. And when he needs to make adjustments, he does. And that's what he did. He made adjustments, and it worked. So, he didn't even actually make an adjustment in this fight. He kicked the leg of Vitor Petrino early because he knows he's not going to check him, because nobody checks leg kicks unless it's Jose Aldo. And after a couple kicks, you can see Vitor Petrino like walking funny. And it's great because with a long, heavy hitter like Vitor Petrino, you've got this aversion to getting with the hand, so the longer weapon's going to be the low kicks, and it worked great. He really kind of should have kicked the thigh like Jose Aldo did to keep him off of him even more from pressuring, yada yada, but it's Anthony Smith. We can't ask that much of him. We can't ask Anthony Smith to be Jose Aldo. But with Vitor Petrino's leg compromised, he shoots against the fence and sticks his head right into a guillotine. And Anthony Smith snatches it up. I don't remember if it was standing or not. But it was a guillotine nonetheless, right? And I believe it was standing because Petrino taps out on his shoulder, I believe. No, Poirier, which is we'll be talking about in a second here, was that. Smith went to the ground with it. But yeah, he tapped. Denies a up-and-coming fighter. He said, I made fun of him on X because I was like, oh, he's not a stepping stone, but what about Johnny Walker and Khalil Roundtree and all these other guys, But, he did, fair play, he denied Vitor Petrino, so great fight. Not much to say about it because there wasn't much to say. Good leg kicks by Anthony Smith, though, so, I'm happy with that. The psycho fight of the card, though, Michel Pereira versus Poirier. Pereira's old, man. Like, he's been around for forever. He's like in his mid to late 30s. But he's still lightning fast. We saw earlier, this one's going to be kind of like the Anthony Smith section where we don't have much to talk about because it's so quick. But, like, man, the first strike he threw was a body kick, and it was, like, lightning fast. I was like, ooh, that hurts. Poirier, he's a striker, but Michel Pereira, 1-2 right down the pipe. Knocks him down. This is where it gets psycho. Michel Pereira's like, oh, you're knocked down on the ground. Let me turn around and backflip in front of him. Now, guys, I'm not going to backflip. I can't backflip. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I'm a big guy. I'm not that athletic. Just whatever you want to say. Just say it. That's fine. But Pereira did backflip. And he hit him in the head with his knee as he was coming down. Michel Pereira does this all the time. And because the fight didn't end right there, I think, and the fact they were in Brazil and it would have been a freaking riot, I don't think they wanted to overturn it. They didn't overturn it, even though it was an illegal strike. And the commentators were going on and on about it as an illegal strike. But anyways, Poirier gets up and Michel Pereira grabs the guillotine and almost does put him away. So, two guillotine wins back to back. First Michel Pereira, then Anthony Smith. So, real good win. Poirier gets, I don't want to say fraud check because the guy wasn't like great, I mean, we knew he was all right. Who was he supposed to fight on this card? That's what I want to know. Canceled fights. Michel Pereira, Bakhmut Muradov, who they just cut. Go figure. That sucks. What was it? Oh, an infection. Yucky. Last fight on the main card was Caio Borralho versus Paul Craig. The washed ghost of Paul Craig, who was never good anyway. I like Caio Borralho. He's a decent contender in a very weak division. Middleweight's not the best division. Let's be real. It's just not. Ooh, Caio Borralho versus Chimaev. That would be fun. Borralho gets tired, Chimaev gets tired. Yeah. But anyways, he's a good contender in a weak middleweight division. Paul Craig obviously is going down. He just looked terrible. But Caio Borralho had really good power. He has good anti-grappling. It's not hard to have good wrestling defense against Paul Craig, who can't get a takedown for the life of him. But, So, yeah, Caio Borralho, he goes out there and Paul Craig's hands just look terrible, so he just resorts to kicking and the body kick. And the body kick worked for him, But I just get this feeling like Paul Craig needs to retire. He doesn't do it for me anymore, He's just not there. 185 is not it. He's cutting too much. 205, he can't compete anymore. Bad takedowns. But Borralho, man. 1-2, I think it was. It was a 1-2 in the second round where he caught Paul Craig, and Paul Craig starts running backwards, literally turns his back to him and runs, and it was a left hook, I believe, that Caio Borralho caught him with and just folded Paul Craig. It was gruesome scenes. John Anderson Burrito beat Jack Shore. We talked about the cut on the shin. Lucinda beat Karolina Kovacevic. She might need to retire again. Olbai, I'm not even going to try and say his name, but he's 13-1-1, and he's freaking Kazakhstan. Oh, he's good. He is fun. neck crank on Uros Medic. He was in LFA before that, so this is his second UFC fight. This guy might be a problem in the future. Drakkar Klose beat Joaquin Silva. Great win. Ruffy, he looked great too. Has really good hands. He punched up Jamie Mullarkey, but then again, who hasn't punched up Jamie Mullarkey? Barbosa beat I'm not trying to say that name. Ishmael Bonfim, one of the he was the good Bonfim brother, I believe, and or am I thinking somebody else? Anyways, he's the one that lost to Benoit Saint-Denis because Saint-Denis just blasted his body early. That was way back in 7-23. Returning against Vince Pichel, he got the win. Then Alessandro Costa beat Kevin Borjas. So, yeah. Aldo, man, that's my favorite part of the fight, I think. He got out there, he got the win. He went in there and he did his thing. Body work. We've seen how he did it against like Chito Vera, which was great. So yeah, I was happy with the performance from Jose Aldo. I thought, this is great. Vintage Aldo, he's gonna beat Chito, and Chito said he wants to run it back. But like, come on, man, we know how we're gonna break down Chito Vera. We know.